Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Sport Press. This is episode. Do you know what episode?
No.
Episode 25. Woo! So we're a quarter of a way to 100. Look at that.
Wow.
I guess soon the brand deal should start coming in, but
At some point, yes.
yeah, I guess we'll see. I am Zach,
I'm Peyton.
and we are very happy to have you here. You want to start today, or you want me to start?
I'll start.
Alrighty.
So what we saw, we're going to head over to the League's Cup, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, what exactly it is. But it was an MLS team, Inter Miami, versus Liga MX team, Cruz Azul. And this just so happened to be Messi's first game for Inter Miami. He gets subbed on late in the game, played about the last 30 minutes. And, he immediately had some impact, some runs. Didn't get a chance to score except a couple times. And then it's getting to the last second, and they added 2 minutes. And in the 91st with 30 seconds they called a foul where Messi got fouled. So they're lining up the kick. It's going past the 92-minute mark. So this is basically it. All that's left. And me and Zach, we were together during this, and Nicole. And I was just like, there's just no way. This is too perfect of a debut. There's no way he is actually going to make this. And Messi showed us why he is the GOAT, puts it right in the corner, and wins Inter Miami the game in his first MLS action. And wow, it was certainly a moment that is going to be remembered forever in the MLS. I know it had over 30 million views on Twitter. I'm going to check it and see where it's at now. But it's a moment that is just game changing for U.S. soccer in general because he's here and he's still the GOAT. So yeah, I'm excited to see him. He's supposed to start against Atlanta United this week. So we'll get to see how he plays. Not only did he play well, but also Sergio Busquets, the midfielder that came with him, also played good. But yeah, that tweet Major League Soccer put out, the video has 54 million views now. So I think it could be crazy. What MLS needed to hit the next level.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, that goal was wild. I was making brownies, right?
Yep.
That's what I thought. Because I don't remember watching it on the TV. I was like, we didn't watch it in here. Yeah, that was absolutely wild. And that was his first MLS goal, right?
Yeah. Well, it technically wasn't an MLS goal, but first goal playing for
first goal
team.
While he's on an MLS team. So
yeah,
that was great. All right, so what we saw had to be A'ja Wilson's Saturday night because, dear Lord, she scored 35 points, 14 rebounds, and did all of this on 82% shooting. She went 14 for 17 from the field. There were some tweets and figures that I found later on after the game breaking it down even more. So she was 7 on 7 on open looks. 7 for 10 on contested looks, and then they played the links this night. Whenever A'ja was contesting the links, they were 2 for 10 shooting. So just absolutely wild. She becomes the third player in WNBA history to score 35 points, get 10 rebounds, all on 80% shooting. I don't know how I keep coming back here every week or every other week and talking about her, and it's just like she's still getting better. But as we're also going to talk about later with the Aces, that's just kind of how they're doing things right now, and it's fun to watch. All right, reviewing our last game of the week. Tell us about it.
So, my last week's game of the week was the USA versus Vietnam, the opening match for both of these teams in the Women's World Cup. And it went pretty much as expected. USA dominated. Vietnam really never had any chances. It was a 3-0 win for USA. I think everybody kind of expected to be a little more, maybe like 4 or 5-0, but still a good win regardless. First match, so maybe it takes a while for them to get into it. But a dominating win as expected for the U.S. women.
Sophia Smith? Is it Sophie or Sophia?
Sophia.
Yeah, she is really good at soccer.
She is.
That was crazy.
She could be the new star coming out of this World Cup, I think.
Yeah, because this is just game one, so I don't think you can really get a whole lot from the first game. But Alex Morgan didn't look like herself. Rapinoe didn't even start. So I mean the
Yeah,
older.
I good.
I was gonna say it seems like the older stars are like on their way out. I mean this is Rapinoe's last one, so
Most of the things I read said Rapinoe when she came on was the worst player on the pitch. So I feel like she might be. We might not see much of her, from
yeah.
according to my sources.
Man. Alrighty. Well, my game of the week last week was the Sun versus the Dream. They actually played 2 times last week, once on Thursday and then again on Saturday. Before the Thursday game, which the Sun ended up winning, the Dream had a 7-game win streak, and then Saturday the Sun ended up beating the Dream again, 86-78. In this game, Ryan Howard just kind of picked up where she left off. I don't think she was very happy about not being an All-Star after the votes. The fact she had to be brought in by the because of an injury and then by the commissioner. She's happy she got there, but she is showing us with her play that she was not happy she was left off. Anyway, she had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. So filling up the whole stat book. Alicia Gray had 17.7 rebounds, but none of that was enough for DeWanna Bonner, who had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, almost a double-double. Alyssa Thomas, who almost had a triple-double with 15 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. But then Natisha Heidemann just decided she wasn't going to miss that night. She had 45% true shooting, 63% from 3, and had 15 points to honestly take the Sun over the edge and get them a win and honestly a close game against the Dream until the end right there. So, yeah, good week in the WNBA. What's up next?
All right, we have the PLL, and if you remember, it was the All-Star weekend in Louisville. Pretty successful weekend. I didn't get to watch most of it just because I was out of town in Indianapolis, obviously, but I saw some highlights of it. They had the creative freestyle competition, which was very interesting. Mike Sisselberger, who plays for the Archers, his freestyle was he used to be a wrestler as well, so he dressed up in a wrestling costume and RKO'd someone through a table and then
That's
shot,
amazing.
I believe.
That is amazing.
Xander Dixon, he put on a USA basketball jersey and did a dunk into the goal. Those were just a few of the ones I saw. So that was pretty cool. And then at the halftime of the All-Star game, they had the fastest shot competition, and we have a new record. Jared Newman of the Chaos defenseman had a 121-mile-per-hour shot. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. He apparently didn't even get to use the stick he wanted to. Like something happened where he didn't get to use the stick he wanted to. He had to use this one, who he hadn't had much experience with. Still 121 miles per hour. I believe that's the fastest one ever in an All-Star game like this competition recorded. The veterans beat the Rising Stars 26-19. Obviously, it was more laid back, and with that in lacrosse came a lot of trick shots and crazy goals. So that was cool to see. There was one where Marcus Holman, when he was winding up to shot, he goes back, flicks it behind his back in a pass, acts like he shoots, and it went actually behind him to the guy. It was pretty insane. So yeah, stuff like that. Very cool goals. And then this weekend in Dallas, I don't know if they've ever been to Dallas, but they're in Dallas this weekend, and game of the week for me is Water Dogs versus Archers, Sunday at 3 on ABC, the battle of the 4-1 teams. And yeah, on ABC, so it should be awesome to see.
All righty, sounds good. You confused me there by saying game of the week. I see what you did now, though.
I was just saying my game of the week for PLO.
I see now. All righty, so we're going to talk a little bit of golf. The British Open happened. Brian Harman won. He won. God, how do you say this? Back 13?
13 under.
Thank you. There you go. He won 13 under, which I want to say I read somewhere that was either the highest it's been at the British Open, like the highest difference between like first and second place, and I'm going to tell you second place here in a second, or it's been like the first time it's been that far in a while. But anyway, he won. He shot 13 under, and then we had 3 people tie for second who shot 7 under, and that was Jason Day, Tom Kim, and Sepp Straka. So, none of the names, not a single name actually, that I mentioned last week was anywhere near the top. So here we are. That's all for the majors of the year, but I think there's still some like tour stuff going on with PGA as they finish up, and then the next one will start next year or when it starts. Yep. Alrighty, and then other news: the Tour de France happened over the weekend. I am going to absolutely butcher these names, so I do apologize. But all right, Jonas, man, Jonas, and his last name starts with a V, from Denmark, won back-to-back titles. Do you know how to say that?
Vingegaard.
Thank you. Won back-to-back titles in the Tour de France. So he won last year and then won again this year. I really tried to look up times and like that sort of thing of how he won it. Apparently, that is not at all how the Tour de France works. So, he won, and that's all I can tell you about it. I can also tell you, though, only 12 other times has this happened, and the latest being Tadej Pogacar?
Good enough
Sure.
for me.
And he did it in 2020 and 2021. And he also won the best under 25 rider for the 4th year in a row. So that is my news from across the pond.
All right, moving on. We got some soccer. The Women's World Cup has officially begun, as I discussed. U.S. opening match. Sadly, that's the only match I've been able to watch because they are at 3 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Crazy.
I mean, sad honestly because I do want to watch these games, but there's just no way I can fit it into my sleep schedule where I'm going to be able to watch multiple. Like I said, I'll be watching the 9 p.m. games. Like there's a 10 p.m. game tonight, Colombia, South Korea, and then a couple others throughout the week. But I mean, it is kind of rough. I mean, I get it. It's in Australia, New Zealand. What can they do? But man, I really wish it was a better time. I will say every day, I believe Fox Sports at around 6, I want to say, has a recap, and it kind of shows all the highlights from the previous day's match, like the morning's matches. And if you want to watch quick matches, just see what happened, that's a good way to do it. That's what I did yesterday, and kind of just puts all the highlights quick and easy into a show for you. Then we got some transfer news before we get into the MLS stuff. Mbappe, where is he going? It looks like he is officially going to not be playing at PSG this next season. He has been cast into the how does it said, the not a part of their plans training. There's a group of about 11 to 12 players who train on their own away from the team because they're just not in PSG's plans. Kind of weird to see it, but like they're just on their own, not with the team, doing their training. So it looks like he is for sure not going to be at PSG. Now, that leaves a question of what are the options? Now, I've seen possible places that could make a run for him. Real Madrid, which seems to be the most likely scenario. Barcelona, but they could only do it by trading players because they have a financial restrictions against them, this transfer market. There is, who is it from the Premier League? Tottenham and Chelsea. Now, if Tottenham gets them, I would be shocked. I don't see how that's possibly going to happen. Chelsea has sold a lot of players. I would also be surprised they're not in the Champions League. My assumption is he wants to play in the Champions League still. And then the last option on the table for Mbappe is Saudi Arabia. I believe the team is Al Hilal. Now, I personally think that is the worst case scenario for him. Yes, he will make the most money. But as far as global stage, as far as I know, there's nowhere to watch the Saudi Arabian League that I've seen. You're playing against, yes, there's a few more, there's stars over there, but overall it's less competition than you would be in Europe. And just under less of a spotlight. I guess we'll really see coming up this season, but how much are we going to see of him at Saudi Arabia in the league? Like, are other players going to overlap him in popularity like Holland or Vinicius Jr. at Real Madrid, because we actually see them in the Champions League and they're not just in Saudi Arabia, never to be heard from for a whole season. So there's a lot of money on the table, like 700 million. It's just a question of what does he value the most in his career. And I think at his age, it should be playing top teams and playing for a top team over money, because like Ronaldo's old, makes sense. Most of those players that are going are getting older. It makes sense they're trying to get their payday while they can. But for him, I just don't think it's a smart idea.
Either way, I think that all halal is going to be fine because if they don't get Mbappe, Giannis has already said and tweeted out that he looks like Mbappe, so they can always just take him and pay him the 332. I saw 332 million. Are you looking at a 2-year deal, or is it assumed that he would do a 2-year deal?
So no, it'll be a 1 year deal. It's 332 plus add-ons he can earn.
Okay.
It's up to 700
Yeah.
million.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, I think even if they don't get Mbappe, they're going to be fine. They'll have Giannis.
I think if I'm Mbappe, I feel like you can almost get that much money in sponsorships and other things somewhere else. Because like I said, you're under more people are going to see you play when you're playing in Europe than Saudi Arabia. I think that also begs the question, Zach. When is Saudi Arabia going to start getting into American sports more? Are we going to see someone from Saudi Arabia buy a NFL team? Are we going to see someone or join the NBA somehow? Or are they going to start recruiting players away from our leagues and start making their own leagues? I feel like it's only a matter of time at this point.
I mean, yeah, I've seen stuff dealing with colleges about them. I don't know anything about the details, but I know I've seen headlines of like Saudi Arabia is trying to get into college sports. I'm like, dear God, I don't know. I mean, they got the money, so
I
it's
mean,
going to happen
they
at
did
some point.
they did it with golf, so I mean, don't say it's not impossible, because they've
No,
already
it
done it
definitely
with
is.
golf. Yeah.
I think it makes it a little tougher in the NFL and NBA and or at least those two especially because like any kind of sell like a team sell that happens or expansion has to be voted on and like approved by all the governors and like the owners like so I mean if Saudi Arabia if they come over here and try to buy an NFL team or NBA team, I don't know what that vote would be. I would assume it would probably be no. I don't know for sure though. But even if it was no, yeah, all they got to do is they have. It seems like they have absolute unlimited money. Build stadiums all around the U.S. and start your own league.
Yeah.
What's stopping them? Nothing is. So I mean, yeah, it wouldn't shock me. And if it makes sports world better, then it makes it better. Hopefully, that's
I'm
what
not
it
sure
does.
we'll make it better, but
I don't
I guess
either,
we'll just have
but
to wait and see.
yeah, I don't think anybody knows.
All right, moving on to MLS. They get destroyed by Arsenal in the MLS All Star game. Honestly, not that big of a shock when you when you just say that. It sounds horrible, but these are guys that haven't ever played on, or most of them have never played on the same team. They're together for one game. When you have Arsenal players who have been in training for possible years or however long, it's hard to expect an MLS All Star game to compete with that. It's fun to see, but this might happen sometimes where they get destroyed because I mean Arsenal finished second in the Premier League last season. It's not like they're some mid-table Premier League club. They're one of the best teams in the world, so it happens. Now, like I was saying earlier, the League's Cup has begun. It is it's not between, but it's a competition with MLS and Liga MX. Every team in both of those leagues are in this competition. There are a bunch of groups of 3 teams. Most of them are 2 MLS and 1 Liga MX because there are more MLS teams. And they'll play each team and then see who moves on to the next round. Yeah.
What's Liga MX?
That is the Mexican League.
Like their MLS, basically.
Their soccer league, yeah.
Oh, there's. I thought they had. What's La Liga?
That's
something else.
Spain.
Okay, let's not
Yep.
get on that then, because that's just going to confuse me.
Okay, so they're playing each other. Now, so far in the games that MLS and Liga MX has matched up, MLS has won 4, Liga MX has won 3. There is a different kind of rule set for this because they are playing in a group of 3, and they only play each other once. instead of there being draws allowed, if there is a draw, both teams are guaranteed a point, but they do a penalty shootout, and if they win the penalty shootout, they get 2 points instead of one. So it's like kind of an extra point just for winning a penalty shootout. So for example, Charlotte and Dallas played on Saturday night or Friday night, and when they played, they tied, but they had penalty kicks afterwards. Charlotte won, so Charlotte gets 2 points. Dallas only gets one. Yeah, so it'll be a big competition, kind of like an FA Cup kind of vibe. If you were just doing it with U.S. and Mexico, it's a little confusing, honestly. I'm still learning how it works because it is brand new. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be fun. See which league is the best. See what team is the best. You could say in the U.S. and Mexico. So yeah, got that going on now. More matches this week. There is a bunch Tuesday, a bunch Wednesday, and a bunch Thursday and Saturday and Sunday. So I do like they have literally spread this out to there's basically games every day except for tonight. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. And then I think it's a break, and then they'll come back and finish it, I believe. So it's like games every night, which is pretty cool for the MLS.
Sounds cool. It sounds like a fun little, I don't know, like cup thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like a fun thing to do. I like it when leagues are extra, even though nobody else does.
So wait, one more thing before we move on. If you want to see Messi start in his first match for Inter Miami, tomorrow night, 7:30 on Apple TV, they will be taking on Atlanta United. He is supposed to start, so.
All right. Good to know. All righty. Well, moving on into the WNBA. So last week we had All-Stars and the All-Star break, and then as everybody came back, you could definitely tell the All-Star hangover was there. So I decided we're not going to talk about any of the games today, and we're going to review the standings and league leaders because I hadn't done that since like week 3. So standings after the break. We are halfway through the season. Most teams have played either 22 or 21 games. So most teams have got around anywhere between 17 and 19 games left to play. Obviously, no shock here. The Aces are in first place. They are 21-2. First in points, first in defense. They're winning games by 16 points, and they're undefeated at home. There's absolutely no stopping this team unless an injury happens, and that's just how it is. If it's up to me, let's just go ahead and wrap up the season now and just give the Aces a championship, because it's like it's not that they're good and they're staying good and everybody else is like staying where they're at. It's everybody under the Aces, they're good and they're getting better, but the Aces are already like, I don't even know, 73 2016 Warriors, 73 Bulls, 2016 Warriors level good and getting even better. Like, their defense was not number 1 coming into last week. So there's just no stopping this team. If you do have hope, then you are a fan of the Liberty, who are in second place by 1 game at 15-5, and the Sun are in third place at 17-6. So they're both right there. And then for that 4 spot, you've got a bunch of teams fighting for it, all between Dallas Wings, Washington Mystics, Atlanta Dream. The Lynx and Sky are kind of at the end there. But yeah, so rounding this off, let's read it off one more time. The Aces are in first. Second place are the Liberty. Third are the Sun. Those are your top 3 teams, no question about it. Then you've got the next little tier. In 4th place, you've got the Wings. 5th, you've got the Mystics. In 6th, you've got the Dream. And then in 7, you've got the Lynx. And 8, you've got the Sky. So those are your playoff teams right now. The Sky and Lynx are hanging on by a thread there. I think the next closest team would be the Fever. So I'm going to hope that the Lynx and the Sky keep winning games and stay in the playoffs so we can have a better chance of Caitlin Clark. All right, and then moving on to the league leaders. Points per game, Jewel Lloyd is still leading. I'm pretty sure she was when I had this little discussion weeks ago. But she's scoring 24 points a game. Stewie is right behind her at 23 points a game, and then Arike Agumawali at 22 in third place. Looking at assist, you guessed it, Courtney Vandersloot is leading the league with 8.3 assists. Then right behind her, you've got Alyssa Thomas with 8, and then Chelsea Gray on the aces with all those ridiculous behind the back over half court passes that somehow still get into the basket. She's got 7 assists a game. She's on the aces too. The aces are just stupid good. And then rebounds per game, you've got basically a 3-way tie at first. Asia is in first with 9.8. Nalissa Smith is averaging 9.7 rebounds a game. She has been in second place for about a month now, but she's also been out for a week, and she's still in second. So that's great to see. Hopefully she can come back and just keep getting those numbers up. And then in third place, you got Stewie. Actually, I guess tied for second. You've got Stewie at 9.7 rebounds a game. And then, yeah, if you're just want to look at teams to follow going into the second half of the season with playoffs coming up, obviously, if you just like good basketball, watch the Aces. That's all I got to say about it. The Wings and Dream are both interesting because either of them can score at will against anybody. The Wings definitely, I would say, have more weapons, but Atlanta is scary, and I think they have a little bit better defense. But they both, I feel like, are right there. They just need to win a few more games to push themselves up another tier and to really be a threat to make some noise in the playoffs. The Lynx are only getting better with Nafisa Collier, who didn't play last year because she was out on maternity leave, but coming back has been outrageously good. And then Diamond Miller, the rookie, she got injured but has come back and really lit it up. And then lastly, will the Fever, Mercury, or Storm figure it out? The Fever, I don't think we're dumpster fire right now. It's not the best situation, but it's a young team. They're obviously losing, and they're losing close games, but they're getting better every game. Now, the Mercury and Storm, those are dumpster fires. So can they figure it out? And that's all I got on the W for this week. Let's move on to the NBA.
All right. NBA, the Hornets have officially been sold. Thank goodness. Hopefully, these new owners can figure out something other than what was going on.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jordan was not doing what he should be.
Nope.
Not good draft picks. Nothing in free agency really, besides LaMelo. I mean, So I think it was time. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, it's been time. I don't know. I don't know anything about either of these guys except one of them has been in ownership with the Hawks at some point in their life. I don't know which one. Yeah. I know J. Cole is part of the group, so I'm excited for that. I think that your point you said a month and a half or 2 months ago of the Hornets just need to adopt J. Cole as their Drake. That's the only way. I don't care if you sell. I don't care if Jokic goes to Charlotte. Nothing's going to happen. You've got to do something. I don't know what it is. But Jokic and LaMelo would be crazy.
It would be. But also to go with some NBA, the return of slam ball has happened. It was a sport back a long time back, but they brought it back this year. I watched a game, and I have to be honest, I'm not sure what was going on. In case you don't know what slam ball is, kind of like basketball, but there are trampolines. When you dunk, you get
3 on 3.
It's 4 on 4. When you dunk, you get 3 points. When you make a 3-pointer, you get 4 points. There you can tackle people, straight up just hit them. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And I think if I got the rules explained to me, maybe I would enjoy it a little more. But at the moment, I had no clue what was happening. So in case you're looking for something interesting to spice up your sports, slam ball.
Yeah, it's like a weird mix of basketball and football.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. college football. We don't have a whole lot to talk about here, but just I couldn't come to this episode with what happened over the weekend and not talk about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was an invasion down in, I don't know where this place is, Tallahassee. That's where
Florida
the rapper's
Atlantic?
from. Yeah.
No.
No, not
Or
Florida
AMU?
Atlantic. FAMU.
Yeah, I don't know where they are.
Well, the rapper's from Tallahassee, so we're going to say surrounding areas. FAMU had to suspend their football activities over the weekend. They did resume today, or at least they'll resume tomorrow. But they are resuming. But they had to shut down football activities because somehow, we all know how, but somehow a rapper got into the locker room, recorded an entire video in the locker room, wore like the team's merch, wore the helmet, had FAMU players in the video. So yeah, things got a little wild at FAMU over the weekend. The rapper was a real Boston Richie, and apparently his song, what's it called? His song was called Send a Blitz. I haven't listened to it yet, but apparently it's all just in their locker room. Thoughts on that?
I don't know why they had to suspend everything. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Use it as advertisement. I mean, obviously you can be mad about that they let him in there, but I mean, I don't know, not that big a deal to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that big of a deal. I understand wanting to suspend it just because I don't know. Anytime there's somebody unauthorized in there, it's just best to go behind and make sure nothing dumb is happening after the fact. Because you never know. People are insane today, so you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, just a pretty funny, lighthearted story that I had to share. And then other news, College Game Day today got announced for week 1. Peyton, you want to tell them where they're heading and who's playing in that matchup?
They will be heading to Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. Yep, to see the battle of the Carolinas, South Carolina and North Carolina.
Hey, man.
And as much as I love it, I think it's more of there's literally no other game that is even good at all. There's nothing that's even close. So this is what they went with. I'm excited. I maybe will attend. We'll see what happens.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
It's not that far, so why not?
Yeah.
And let's just see the other week 1 options that they had, Zach. Just because how did
I haven't looked at these, so I want to know.
Yeah, because not only is it College Game Day, it's the primetime ABC game. Like it's the whole deal.
Yeah, I did see that.
So other options were East Carolina, Michigan, Virginia, Tennessee,
Good.
Ohio State, Indiana.
Hey.
And that's it's bare. Nevada, USC.
It's so weird. Week 1 is usually not bad. Like there's always you always got some teams that are playing nobodies, but there's usually like 3 or 4 like big matchups.
Here you go, West Virginia, Penn State. That could be something.
That could
But I think what happened was, so on Sunday night, LSU plays Florida State, and I don't know if that was going to be originally the spot, but they ended up playing on Sunday.
No, but they've been doing that the past few years. They'll do a Saturday night primetime, Sunday night, and Monday night in the beginning.
Yeah, pretty brutal week 1 college football schedule.
Listen, the last time South Carolina was in primetime was a great night. Oh, I remember it's like it was yesterday versus Tennessee. But other times in the recent past have been very scary. So I'm just going to hope that we perform well. It's a good, fun, close game, and nobody gets embarrassed.
We can hope.
NFL time.
Yep, NFL. Let's talk about some running backs.
Ooh.
Before we jump into the big controversy, did you see what happened with Nyheim Hines today?
Yes, I did. I was thinking about putting it in here, but I was like, eh.
Yeah, he got injured, not in practice, but he was just on a jet ski, and someone apparently ran into him out for the season, sadly.
Like he wasn't even moving. Another person ran into him. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. But
That
yeah, he's out
sucks.
for the season, sadly. But
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So, Zach, would you like to give us the rundown on what's going on with our running backs?
Running backs in the NFL have felt that they are undervalued and unappreciated. And we talked about it the live show,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Mhm.
Yeah. So y'all know the backstory of it, but they made the group chat, and what came of it, at least one thing we know that came of it, is that Nick Chubb's input is that he believes the reason why this position is kind of hurting so bad is that the running back is the only position where production hurts them the most. So I'm not going to lie, I don't completely understand what he's saying there. So can you help me get there?
So basically, what he's saying is if you have a season with a ton of carries, a ton of yards, a
Mm-hmm.
ton of touchdowns, you're probably most positions like wide receiver. If you were producing like that as a wide receiver, you're going to get a big payday.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you, as a running back, you did that over a couple seasons. Instead of getting a big payday, teams are going to see you as worn down
Mm-hmm.
um, and not having much left in the tank. So basically, what he's saying is, if I produce a lot, then I'm going to look good, but teams are going to see me as worn down or used a lot. Because when you hear people talk about Christian McCaffrey, for example, he had his big season and then he gets hurt. They say it's because he was used so much. So, but he was the top, one of the top running backs, especially in fantasy. That just because that's what I know for reference. He was the top running back in fantasy that year, and then gets hurt the next year. So that is a kind of an example of why I believe it starts, because it does happen where they will have a huge year, next season gets hurt. Derrick Henry got hurt a bunch this season. People are saying, is it because he's been used so much? I mean, um, I'm not. I'm kind of in a situation where I feel bad for the running backs, but it's kind of
There's
proven at this point that
yeah,
they
there's
don't really have a point. I mean, anybody can play it, as we've seen. Late round draft picks, undrafted free agents. The Chiefs win the Super Bowl with a late round draft pick. I mean, it doesn't really
but he was good
hasn't really
though. It's not
proven
like
to
he was a
be
bad running back though. He was good.
exactly. Well, who's saying I can't get a running back anywhere? I think is their
Mm.
point. I mean,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
why? Why?
Okay.
Who? I'm trying to think of a situation where like you can pick up anyone and it can turn out to be a quality starter for you, because unless you're a team that's going to rely on that running back, which usually doesn't end well for a team, then you don't necessarily need a top guy. You just need someone who can get you 3 or 4 yards and keep moving, right? I mean, I think it's been proven the past couple of years, especially. When does an elite running back win a Super Bowl? When have we seen that? I mean, it's hard to even think of one where like a top running back out of that year won the Super Bowl. Derrick Henry never won a Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey never won a Super Bowl. And to prove that even more, 49ers have Christian McCaffrey. They get without a quarterback, they're done for. Even with Christian McCaffrey, they are paying all that money. They get eliminated by the Eagles because they don't have a quarterback, which was a extreme situation, but
Oh,
just an example.
yeah. Thank
So
God that
like,
rule was changed, by the way. Oh
yeah,
my God.
that so
Stupidest rule. Sorry.
the question just is, do they have any leverage in this situation to where they can say, we need more money and you need us? Sadly, I don't think they do, because it's just not
So
a vital position for a championship team.
so when do we get to the point where we just don't even have running backs anymore?
Well, see, I don't think we're at
We just
that
go
point
five wide
because
all the time.
no, because running is still important to teams. I think it's just that they can find anyone to do it. They don't
Is it
necessarily
if
need
you
that
have
guy.
a Patrick Mahomes and the receivers and the speed that he has? If you're in that
Oh,
situation,
no, because if a defense is always playing the pass, they're not going to be successful. They're going to need to run sometimes. That's just how it because if the defense knows what to expect, it's just less likely to work for the Chiefs. So that's
well,
why
yeah, I don't know.
Pacheco was
Yeah.
important to them. But the point is, Pacheco's not the only person that can do it. Anybody can do it.
Hmm.
That would be the NFL's team's point of why we're not going to pay you.
Oh, rest in peace,
And it's
running
sad,
backs.
but I mean, sadly, I think it might be the truth.
Lion. I wonder. There's got to be. I don't have an answer, so don't ask for one. But there has to be some kind of idea they can come up with to make. They're not going to get what they want as far as like value, but to get the ball moved a little bit, I don't
I
know.
think the answer could be something like incentive-based
Yeah.
contracts for running backs, like heavily incentivized.
Yeah.
So the teams can offer that low amount and be protected if that guy gets hurt or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, their normal amount. But let's say they do go on to have a offensive player of the year type of year, they do get rewarded for it with whatever incentives they have. Like they still obviously get their base salary, but they have that, which I feel like should already be a thing. Why isn't that more prevalent among running
Yeah.
backs? I don't know.
Yeah. And then I just had another question, but I answered it myself because I was thinking of what's like the most injured position in the NFL, and it is running back. So by
Yeah,
far,
exactly.
by far. Yeah.
So it's
So,
a rough situation. Hopefully they
yeah.
figure something out that works for both sides, but right now we don't
All
know.
righty.
All right. Time to move on to the games of the week. I will start us off with
Okay.
the next group stage match for the USA women versus the Netherlands. This is the last one that will be on at a decent time. So if you want to watch the USA women's, this would be your best bet.
This is
It'll
it.
be at 9 p.m. on Fox Wednesday night. I believe the Netherlands is pretty good, so this could be a challenge. I've heard through people that maybe this isn't the USA's year. There are teams that could challenge them this year. I feel like USA is kind of in a transition period anyway. We have a bunch of older players on the team. We have a bunch of young players on the team. So let's see if they can gel, pull off a win against the Netherlands, and hopefully win the group.
Yeah, I hope so. Wednesday at 9. Okay. Sorry. Alrighty. My game of the week is the Mystics at the Dream. Sunday, 3 o'clock on ESPN 3. Don't know why it's on ESPN 3, but that's where we are. So I do have an honorable mention to go with this, just in case we can't watch that. But both of these teams are fighting for the 4th spot in the standings right now. Where'd they go? Yeah, right now the Mystics are at 5th, the Dream are at 6th, but they're all in that group with the Wings, and honestly, could be with the Sun if the Sun end up dropping games. But they're just trying to fight for that 4th spot to make sure they're in the playoffs pretty healthily. They don't have to worry about losing some games and dropping out. So that'll be a good game to follow. It's a lot of offense versus a lot of defense in the Mystics. So it'll be interesting to see kind of who wins out there. But my honorable mention, which will be another good game, also Sunday, 6 o'clock. This one is on CBS Sports Network, which I believe most people have. But this is the Wings at the Aces. Right now, the Wings are pretty hot in scoring. I believe they're top 3 players, and Natasha Howard, Satu Sable, and Arike Agumbawale they've been scoring like close to 20 their past 4 or 5 games, each of them. So they're pretty unstoppable right now. And then, of course, is the Aces. Before break, the Wings did beat the Aces by 2, I want to say, giving them that second loss. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get another upset. But this time it's in Las Vegas, so we'll see. All right. Any last thoughts before we head out?
I think that about wraps it up. Good luck to the running backs in their battle this week.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for you.
Yeah.
But not looking hopeful.
Boston Richie, about to go listen to that song right now.
There you go.
What was it called? Blitz them. Send the blitz. Something with the blitz. I'm about to go watch it. So, all right. That's it. Goodbye from Full Sport Press.
Goodbye.